Hello students, as up to now we have discussed the RMS value and average value of alternating current and voltage. So today let's see some numerical problem first based on that, and later we will just move on the chapter. So first of all, as we have discussed what is the alternating current and what is alternating voltage, and there we have seen what is the peak value or amplitude of the alternating current or voltage. So basically the maximum value of the current or voltage that we can obtain in alternating current or voltage, that is called its peak value. And for RMS and average value we have just calculated formula by mathematical expressions. So let's utilize that numerical, and how can we find out the other quantity that we don't know with the help of these formulas. So here first numerical we have, that is the peak value of an alternating voltage applied to a 50 ohm resistance is 10 volt. Find the RMS current. So first here question we have, that is a resistance is given to us. So value of R is given, this is equal to 50 ohm, and then here peak value of alternating voltage is given. So peak value we are denoting by E0 and its value is given by 10 volt. Next we have to find out RMS current. So first as you know that peak current is related by the peak value of the voltage by the formula, that is E0 upon R here, as R resistance is here present. So let's use the formula here. So according to this one, its value is 1 by 5 here. Next here, as we have to find out the RMS value of this current, then we know that the IRMS, this is given by I0 upon root 2, or directly we can write 0.707 into 1 upon 5. And if you will solve it, then that will provide you the value of RMS current here. So its value is obtained after solving this, equal to 1.414 ampere. One more thing here, this will be equal to ampere, this will be obtained to be milliampere, not ampere. Next one more question is contained in the same. It is given, if the voltage frequency is 100 Hz, then write the equation for the instantaneous current. So as we know the formula for the instantaneous current, and that is given by I is equal to I0 sin omega t. So here in the place of omega we can write 2 pi f into t. So that is relating the frequency with the angular frequency, and I0 its value just now we have seen, and its value is equal to 0.2 ampere, or you can write in milliampere, that will be 200 milliampere. So here I0 that we are going to denote in the milliampere. So this is 200, this is sine. In the place of f we can write the value 100 Hertz that is given. So 100 into 2, this is 200 pi, and this is t in milliampere. So this is the instantaneous value of the current at any instant t for the particular equation and numerical that is given to us. Next question after this one we have, that is related to the graphical problem. So graph is given to us, that is between time and current. So here a current time graph, this is current and this is instantaneous value, time, and this is instantaneous value of the current. And for this one, such kind of graph we have. So this is a rectangular graph. So in this rectangular graph you can see its value is given to us, the peak value is here, this is equal to 2 ampere, and in negative direction it is also in 2 ampere. So here we have to find out what is the value of the alternating current and or RMS value of the alternating current, that we have to find out here. So as we know that the IRMS, this is mean of the maximum value of the currents here, or if we will just take the average of the square of the maximum value of the current, that will provide you the value of RMS current here. So as here for first one, let's suppose it is its maximum value is I1, so I1 is square. For second one, if the maximum value is I2, then I2 is square. For third one, if it is IT, I3, then I3 square, and we can take its average, and that will provide us the value of IRMS. So here, as the maximum value for the first one, it is 2 ampere, so it will be 2 square. Again for here, it is minus 2, and the square of minus 2 it again plus, and it is again 2 ampere and upon 3. So finally, after solving this one, we will get the value of the current, IRMS current for this particular rectangular graph, that is equal to 2 ampere. Next question we have, that is an alternating EMF of peak value of 350 volt is applied across an AC ammeter of resistance 100 ohm. What is the reading of the ammeter here? So it is given, we have a alternating EMF that has peak value, this is equal to 350 volt, and it is applied to an AC ammeter that has resistance, this is equal to 100 ohm. Then we have to find out what will be the reading of the ammeter. Then, as I told you here, for measurement of the AC circuit, AC current and voltages, we design the ammeter and voltmeter based on the Joule's heating effect here, because AC current is dependent on the direction. So that's why whenever we are using the heating effect for this one case, then we need the RMS or mean value of the current and voltages. So basically the ammeter and voltmeter that we are using here to measure AC alternating current and voltages, that always measure RMS value of the current and voltage. So whenever it is saying that we have to find out the value that is read by the ammeter or voltmeter, then we have to find the RMS value of the current here. So it means first we can find out what is the peak value of the current by using the formula E0 upon R. So E0 is given, this is 350, R is given, this is 100. So from here its value is equal to 3.5 ampere, or in milliampere you can also write it. Next one, reading of ammeter, if we have to find out, it means we have to find out IRMS, and we know that IRMS value is equal to 0.707 into I0. So if we will multiply this value in 3.5, then we will get the current that is measured by the ammeter here. So always just keep this factor in mind. Whenever we are using galvanometer to detect current, then that is detecting the maximum current of DC, but it is not used to measure the alternating current and voltage. So for alternating, we are always going to use the RMS value of current and voltages. So here this is the some numerical problem based on the RMS value and mean value of the alternating current and voltages. So next topic that we are going to study in this chapter, that is phasor and phasor diagram. So later we will also see the AC circuits that is going to contain the raw material like capacitor, resistor and inductor. So let's see that the next topic. So next topic that we are going to study, that is phasor and phasor diagram. So first, what is the phasor and why we need it in alternating current? So here, as you know that alternating current is depending on the direction, and its direction is continuously changing with time, then we always need some of the vector quantity to represent its direction with time. And also here, if you will see, then current and voltage, they are not always in same phase. Means sometimes current can lead the voltage and sometimes voltage can lead current. So how can we represent these all variations, angle between at any instant voltage and current? So such kind of all conditions we can represent simply by a vector quantity or vector. So here phasor diagram, that is vector notation, vector representation between induced EMF and current here, all alternating EMF and current. So simple, this is a vector. First, phasor is what? Phasor is a vector quantity, that is a rotating vector quantity that can rotate to an angle from 0 to 2 pi in any plane, and it is representing the sinusoidal change of the alternating current or voltage, and at any time it tells us about the peak value of the current there. And if you will just represent with the help of some diagram, then it will call that phasor diagram. So just like suppose we have a plane here, so to make a plane we need two-dimensional surface here. This is xy plane we have. So in this xy plane, if suppose this is the one vector that is denoting the alternating current here. So this is the alternating current, and if by formula we will see. So this is the formula to represent the alternating voltage, and this is formula to represent the alternating current. This is E0 upon R sin omega t, or in place of E0 by R we can write I0 sin omega t. So from here you can one thing you can see for which vector you have to make the arrow longer than the other one. So here as E0 is greater than the I0 from here, then we can make this one longer for the alternating voltage, and it can be shorter for the alternating current. Now it is free to rotate out and this in, and it is also free to rotate in this way. So this is the diagram that you are seeing finally. This is called the phasor diagram to represent alternating current and voltage, and its dip at any instant t, if it is here, then it is representing its value, the maximum value of it one. So this is the peak value that we are getting for any instant t, and or we can say that for that instant what is the peak value of the current here. Similarly here we can see this is the peak value of the voltage for this one. So this diagram simple tells us the instantaneous alternating EMF or instantaneous alternating voltage. So and also we can understand here, suppose if this one, if I am just making this I here, so this is it angle of rotation, that is omega t. So at any instant if any of the body or any of the coil is rotating with some angular velocity omega, because we know that in electromagnetic induction chapter we have studied, if we have to produce the induced EMF or induced current, then first we need to change the flux that is linked with any coil. So changing flux we can do just by three methods, like by changing the magnetic field or the field lines that is crossing per unit area of the loop. Second thing, we can change the area of the loop there, and for that one we can move the coil and Motional EMF we can obtain. Later third quantity, that the orientation between the coil and the magnetic field. So whenever we will change the orientation theta, we will change with time, then due to the rotation of the coil, the current or induced EMF that is produced, this is alternating current or EMF. So this is the way and angle for alternating EMF. This is omega t, and suppose current is not in the phase with the alternating voltage, means either it is lagging or leading this alternating voltage, then that time we can represent it by some phi. So this is phi is the phase difference between these two quantity, voltage and current. So later for the some certain AC circuits we will see in which of the circuit the current lead, in which of the circuit voltage lead. So first I think phasor diagram is now clear. This is simple. We are taking some rotation vector here, and these rotating vector are representing the instantaneous value of alternating voltage or current, and also they are representing the phase between alternating voltage and current at any instant. Generally, if you have to represent alternating voltage and current, then we can represent it by the formula. So this is E0 sin omega t. Is at any instant t the rotation of alternating EMF, that this is omega t. And if I we are writing, then we can write I0 sin omega t plus minus phi, or simple phi we can also write here. So this is phi that is representing the phase here. If plus we are getting, then it means that this will be ahead of the voltage. If negative sign we are getting, this is lagging the voltage. If it is 0, then they are both are in same phase. So now we will utilize this concept of the phasor diagram to understand the AC circuits here. So after this, let's discuss the AC circuits one by one. So first, to understand the AC circuits, we need to know what are the raw materials, basic components that are needed to design any electrical circuits. So basically, to design any electrical circuit, we need three components: capacitors, resistors, and inductors here. So and after that, when we will discuss about the diode, transistors, then they are also necessary components to design the circuit. But here at least some of the induced EMF and alternating current, if we have to produce it, then these three components are enough for us. So these are the basic components or fundamental components to design the circuit. So we will utilize these three here. Up to now we are just capable to know about this one. So inductor, and in this one how much induced EMF is producing, that can easily be calculated by using Faraday law of electromagnetic induction. In resistors we can utilize Ohm's law. In the case of capacitors, we have also calculated the what is the potential there by using simple the linear variation of the charge with the voltage there. So here these three terms that we are knowing now, let's utilize these three one. Means simple, with any battery we are going to connect one by one these components, and we are going to see what will be the induced EMF and induced current, and what is the phase between induced EMF and current here. So first kind of AC circuit, that is pure resistive circuit. So if we will design any circuit only by using a single resistor, suppose a resistor we have taken, this is capital R, its resistance, and now we have connected an AC source with this one. So for AC source we can represent it by the formula E is equal to E0 sin omega t. So this value of EMF or alternating voltage we have applied to this resistive circuit. Now in this resistive circuit, whenever we will apply this one, then some current will flow here, and due to this current some of the potential will be dropped here, and that potential drop can be calculated by using Ohm's law. So according to Ohm's law, potential drops in the ends of the resistor, this is given by V is equal to I into R. So this is IR potential drop we are getting. So simple, whenever this alternating voltage that is we are applying here, so this will be start to flow through a current into the resistor, then whole of this alternating voltage will be dropped in the form of resistive or joule setting or table. So simple, here this potential across the resistor, this will be maintained by the potential that we have applied in this circuit. So input potential that will be equal to this potential drop and in this resistor, because single component is here, all of the potential will be utilized here. So whenever we will equate this one, then we obtain this is sin omega t, and in place of this one, this is I into R. So from here we can calculate what will be the value of instantaneous current or alternating current in the resistive circuit that is flowing through any resistor. So this is E0 by R sin omega t, or in place of E0 by R we can write down I0, as this E0 is peak value of the alternating voltage, R is the fixed resistance that we have used in resistor, then this value will be fixed for the current also, and this is the peak value of the current that we will obtain in the circuit. So we can represent it by some I0. So this is now current that voltage that we have applied here. This is the alternating current that we have obtained in any resistive circuit. So at any instant t, if you have to calculate what will be the value of the instantaneous current in any resistor, then you can calculate it by this formula. Now if you will see these two formula, then in these two formula, as phi here that we have written again, let me write it, this is I0 sin omega t plus phi, and E is equal to, we have, this is E0 sin omega t. So here as phi is 0, then it means that these two components are in the same phase to each other, means at any time t they will start with each other and they will end simultaneously at any point. Like if two cars are running and their velocities are same, they started at the same time, then that time they will always go parallel to each other, and at any instant they will be parallel to each other. Then this kind of situation we will get for the pure resistive circuit. There is no phase difference between these two values. Always current and voltage are in same phase. At the instant whenever we will apply some of the potential to these resistors, then at the same instant current will start to flow through the resistor. There is no time lag between these two. So if we have to make here graph between current and voltage with time, and also the phasor diagram for this one, then we can make is then here to make the graph, suppose at this x-axis we have taken the time, and at y-axis this is the graph that is representing alternating voltage and current. So for the alternating voltage, as its amplitude is greater than the alternating current, then we have suppose represented by this one, and this is the maximum value of the voltage. This is E0 we have. Now if we have to make the graph for the alternating current, then as there is no time lag between alternating current and voltage, then current will also start from the t is equal to 0 second, and it will start from the 0 position, and again it will go along with this alternating voltage. So from here you can see this will again, they will meet at the pi, and again they will meet at 2 pi here. So this is the peak value of alternating current here. This is I0. So this is the graph between alternating current voltage with time here. Now if we have to make the phasor diagram, so to represent it by the phasor diagram, this is our x-axis, this is y-axis we have. So here as suppose this is the vector that is representing alternating voltage here. So this is E, and angle between these two is at any instant t, it is rotating by some omega t, and in the same direction at this point we will also get the instantaneous value of the alternating current. So this is the phasor diagram for the pure resistive circuit. Both are at any instant, they will be at the same angle, they will always move along with each other. There is no time lag between these two. Their peak value will be obtained at a single time, their minimum value will obtained at a single time. So simultaneously they will do the behavior here in pure resistive. Next case here after the resistive circuit that we have to study, this one is pure inductive circuit. So first here one by one we will take only one component of the circuit, and we will see what is the behavior of the circuit for that one component. Then we will combine the two components like resistive capacitive circuit, and such kind of combinations we will see later. So first here after the pure resistive circuit, the second one that we have to understand, this is pure inductive circuit. So in the case of pure inductive circuit, we are going to use an inductor that has a fixed value of self-inductance capital L we have. So suppose a coil that we have taken, and this coil has some self-inductance capital N, and now this coil is connected with some source of alternating EMF, and this is given by E is equal to E0 sine omega t. And now whenever we will connect this alternating source of EMF here, then a current will start to flow through this inductor, and we know that the sum of the potential drop that will be here due to the production of induced EMF. So the induced EMF that is produced across the inductor, this is given by the Faraday law of electromagnetic induction, and according to that this induced EMF is equal to minus L di by dt. So now in equivalent condition, in balanced condition, this induced EMF will be balanced by this source of alternating EMF. So for the equilibrium condition we are going to utilize this one. So L di by dt, this will be equal to E0 sine omega t. Here this minus sign tells us that its direction is opposite to this one. So here only magnitude that is equalized to each other at any stand that we are going to take. So directly you can write this one. Now we have to find out current at any instant t for this kind of circuit. So this is E0 upon L, this is sine omega t. Now we can write down here di, this is E0 upon L, this is sine omega t into dt. Now whenever we will integrate this circuit, then after integration we will get the instantaneous value of alternating current here. So according to the integration, we will see this will be equal to cos omega t upon this omega, and here minus sign we will get for this integration, and plus we can write some c here. So if you will see the value of c, that will be also 0. So directly let me just erase it. Finally we can write down E0 upon omega L, this is cos omega t, this is I theta. Or in place of this one we can write minus of I0 cos omega t. So this is the value of the instantaneous current at any instant t. Now we can also convert this value in terms of the sine function, because here we have seen that the alternating current and voltage in case of sine function, because you can also represent it actually in cos function, but cos function is starting not from the origin, they are just leaving some height. Such kind of graph we are getting for the cos one. So that's why we are going to use here sine function to represent the alternating current and voltage, and we have to just compare their phasor diagram or their phase, then that's why we will convert it into sine. So let's convert it sine function, and for the conversion we can write here, this can be written as pi by 2 minus omega t. So sine 90 minus theta, you know this is equal to cos theta, and also you can just insert this minus sign here. So this will be equal to finding this I will be equal to minus of I0. You can write sine minus of omega t minus pi by 2, and sine minus theta, you know this is equal to minus of theta, so it will be equal to here minus minus plus, and finally we are getting the value of instantaneous current, this is equal to sine omega t minus pi by 2 for pure inductive circuit. Now for pure inductive circuit, if you will see, this is our alternating EMF that we have applied in the input here, and that is the current this is flowing through any inductor in this kind of pure inductive circuit. So here you can see that the value of pi, this is minus pi by 2. It means that our current is now lagging the alternating voltage here, means alternating voltage is ahead by the pi by 2 here. So phase angle between current and voltage will be pi by 2. So there is some time limit or some time change in time for the motion of the alternating current and voltage in the case of pure inductive circuit. So here like if you want to understand the situation by a running car, that I have taken example in pure resistive. So here if two cars they are that are running on the same road with the same velocity, but one car A, suppose car A we have and car B we have, and car A started to move sometimes ahead than the B1, then that time this car will be sometimes ahead than B. This kind of situation we will have for this one, means this car will lag behind this A1 car. So here this is the same situation for the current and voltage in pure inductive circuit. So if you want to understand it by the graph, then let's see it by graph and by phasor diagram both. So first one, if we have to just make a graph for this one, so let's T at this one, and this is alternating current and alternating voltage here. So here in this case, if alternating voltage that we are getting for this kind of curve, so this is the maximum value for the alternating voltage. And one more thing you have to keep in your mind, the peak value for the alternating voltage, that will be greater than the peak value of alternating current always. Next one, as current is lagging behind the voltage, then this current will start somewhere at this one, means it will start to this time after, as voltage started to this time, but it will start sometime later than this one. So such kind of graph we will get for alternating current here. So this is the maximum value of current I0. So this is the graph for the alternating current. Now we can also make the phasor diagram for this one. So according to the phasor diagram, if this is the representation for the alternating voltage and it is at angle some omega t, then the current that is leading behind it we can make by this one, and this angle is 90 degree or 5/2 degree there. So this is the value of current here I we have, and this is the voltage here. So this phasor diagram help us to understand the phase relationship between current and voltage in any circuit, and according to that phase relationship we can understand what is the power loss chances for any AC circuit, and we are using some methods to overcome that power loss. So later we will see also what are the power losses in AC circuits whenever we are designing it, and how can we reduce it, how we are making some of the powerless coils. So let's understand all these things in next class today. So for this one, I think for today all the AC circuits and its brief is now clear to you. This is simple description about the AC circuits, how can we design, what are we needed to understand this kind of circuits here. So if all these are clear, then let's end our class here. Thank you.